Hi friends, welcome back for social studies. This week on Tuesday we are reading pages 178 and 179, and then we're going to complete the questions on pages 179. So let's go ahead and get started on our reading. Communities then and now. Every person has a history. We talked about that a little bit last week and made family trees. Every person has a history. Every place has a history too. People who have lived in your community for many years can tell about its history. Most communities begin with a small group called founders. Those are the first people who move there. When more people move to the community grows. It may change from rural, that means farmland, not a lot of people as your neighbors, to urban. That means having a lot of neighbors and living kind of in the city. More homes, schools, stores, and roads may be built. So I'm actually gonna have to ask my Aunt Joan to send you a picture of her house because I think her house is 100 years old. She lives in a prehistoric home, so she is part of history. Her house is so old. I'm gonna post a picture. I'm gonna send her a text message after this because I'm making that connection and I want you to make the connection. Communities change. Sometimes a problem can cause a community to change. That happened to the people in the community of Enterprise, Alabama. About a century is 100 years ago, Enterprise was a rural community that grew a lot of cotton. If you can see this picture down here, it looks like somebody's actually picking the cotton. Then a bug called a boll weevil destroyed most of the cotton. The farmers knew they needed to grow something that the boll weevil would not eat. So they had to stop growing cotton because that little bug ate all of their crops. I'm looking at this picture caption right here. Many farmers in the South had cotton crops that were destroyed by the boll weevil. Take a look at that picture. This must have been before the boll weevil because he's smiling and he looks like, wow, my cotton looks really nice. Okay, I'm at the top of page 179. They discovered that peanuts grew well and the boll weevil did not eat peanuts. Ooh, so they switched from cotton to peanuts because that bug didn't like to eat peanuts. Today, many farmers in Enterprise still grow peanuts. The people in Enterprise built a monument in their community. A monument is a statue that honors a person or event. Solving the boll weevil problem was a big event in Enterprise's history. So here's the monument up here. A monument signifies a very special time in history. So number 3, right down here, draw conclusions. Underline one reason people in Enterprise built a monument. So what important thing did they do for them to make this very special statue? Write one fact about a person who is part of your family history. So who in your family knows a lot about history? Maybe your grandma or grandpa, maybe your uncle. Write one fact that they know about the past or history. How has your family or community changed from the past to the present? Well, since Miss Clower just got her house built, my community is actually growing because they're still building houses next to me. So I'm becoming an urban community every single day. If you listen now, there's a big truck coming in with some cement to put the houses in. How has your community changed? On a separate sheet of paper or right down here, write a list of 3 ways that you have changed from the past to the present. So we talked about it last week that when you were a baby, you couldn't walk or talk. So that could be a connection that you could add here. Make sure you use complete sentences, please. Complete sentences, 3 complete sentences right here. I think they'll all fit right here, honestly. All right, and then that's Tuesday. And then for Thursday, we're going to be reading pages 180 and 181. These 2 pages talk about a timeline. This you're gonna have to pull out of your brain because we did timelines at the very beginning of the year. But of course, we'll reread about it right now. Reading and creating a timeline. A timeline shows the order in which events happened. You read a timeline from left to right, just like when you read a book. Just like a sentence. Oh, it gave us another example. Look at the timeline of Austin, Texas. That's where our capital is. It shows some important events that happened there in the past and present. You can create a timeline of events in the past and present of your own life. Draw a line from left to right. Add each year since you were born. Then you can mark a spot that shows when important events happened. You might mark when you were born, when you started school, and an event from this year. So here is our timeline. Remember, we read from left to right. The oldest dates or the furthest back in history are going to be on the left. 1920. Seems like nothing happened there, but in 1935, there's actually a picture down here, and it has a picture caption. Almost 20 inches of rain caused the Colorado River to flood downtown Austin. Ooh. Oh my goodness. I've actually seen this tower in real life because my cousin actually lives in Austin. So that's a lot of water. 20 inches, that's longer than your ruler. That's almost 2 rulers put together. In 1961, we're fast forwarding a few years, a lot of years actually. Many new schools were built as Austin's population grew. Ooh, they're turning into an urban community. 40% in the early 1960s. Moving on up, 1980. 1980, nothing happened. So Miss Clower was actually born around right here in 1993. So I just put that mark for me. And 2000, that was 20 years ago. Austin citizens celebrated the 2000 presidential election at the Texas state capitol. So there's a lot of people actually out there celebrating. And 2013, this was, Miss Clower is horrible with counting in her brain. This was 7 years ago. The South by Southwest Festival celebrates 26 years. South by Southwest Festival is a festival full of music to help us celebrate our culture and people who like to listen to music. All right, at the top of this page, what does this timeline show? Well, what was the title? Austin's Community Timeline. Circle the event in the present that is more than 25 years old. So I said this one was only 7 years old. This one was 20 years old, so we can't circle that one. So you might have to go back to that page. I'm just giving you a hint. Create a timeline of historical or past and present events in your life. So here goes nothing. Since Miss Clower's been alive a lot longer than you have, my timeline would have a lot more information in it, but I'm not gonna bore you with every single year of my life. I'm gonna do like the Austin community, and I'm gonna jump to important dates that I think are important. So I'm gonna use 2 pages, and it said draw a line from left to right, and I'm going to put lines at the end. So here's my left to right timeline. And of course, the first event is going to be the day that I was born. So I was born June 5th, 1993. I was born, period. At the very left is the oldest date, the start of my life. I was born June 5th. My birthday's coming up. I'm rather excited. Okay, another important event that I did was I started elementary school. So I'm gonna draw me another line. I don't remember what year I actually started school, so I'm gonna kind of count. I started school when I was 5 years old, so 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. 1998, I started elementary school. And then another big thing that I did was I actually went all the grades that you can go through school. And in 2011, one day before my birthday, it's actually cool, I graduated June 4th, 2011, I graduated high school. Oh, yep, and another important date is 2 years ago, in 2018, I graduated college. I went to college at Texas A&M San Antonio, right down the street from our school, actually. Graduated college. And something that's pretty up to date that's happening in my life right now, in my timeline, is I'm teaching from home, and I never ever thought that this was gonna happen. So I'm gonna put 2020. Today's date is, good question. I think today's the 16th. Let me see on my 19th. I was way off. 19. 5/19. Teaching from home because of a virus. Okay, so like I said, I'm not gonna bore you with 28 lines, but what I did do was some pretty important dates. So I was born June 5th, 1993. I started elementary school in, I think, 1998. June 4th, 2011, I graduated high school. In 2018, I didn't remember the exact date, so I just put the year. I graduated college right down the street from Adams Elementary, and I put today's date, teaching from home because of a virus. This is a very important date because this is history, you guys. We are creating history. Even though it's boring staying inside, this is history that's happening right now. All right, my friends, I'll see you back tomorrow.